What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it's been a little while since I made a Battlefield 6 video. So today, I wanted to go through a list of all of the leaked weapons that we have for the game so far. Keeping in mind, this was leaked a little while ago. For those of you guys that are really invested in the Battlefield community, you've probably seen this in the past, but I know many of you guys probably haven't, and I was curious to go through this list myself. Also, it is worth noting, we are expecting to see 40 plus weapons at launch for Battlefield 6, whereas this list is data mined and it includes 52 weapons. Therefore, some of the guns on this list are likely planned for future releases and not actually going to be in the game at launch. And one final thing to point out, we know what the real-life versions of most of these guns are. We don't know what fictional name they're going to be using in-game, and we saw that with most of the guns, that's what they did in the beta. So without further ado, let's dive right into this with the assault rifle category. And recapping the three we had in the beta, we have the NVO-228E, which is the Galil Ace-32. We have the B-36A4, which is the G-36, and finally the M433, which is based on the H&K 433. Now let's get into the leaked ones that we haven't seen yet in-game. The first one is the 6P67 Cord, which is based on the AEK platform. Then after that, we're expecting the G3A4, the L85A3, the SCAR-L, the Tavor 7, and then finally the Howa Type 20. So that's 9 assault rifles total. Next, let's get into the carbine category. And in the beta, we had access to the M4A1, the AK205, and the M417A2. In addition to this, based on the data mines, we have the MSBS Grot B, the QBZ-192, the SCAR SC, the SIG SG553R, and then finally the XM7, which I'm really glad to see the XM7 make the list here. I was actually a bit surprised we didn't see that one in the beta. After that though, let's get into the SMG category, and we only had 2 SMGs in the beta. We have the SGX, otherwise known as the SIG MPX, as well as the PW7A2 or MP7A2. In addition to those, we're expecting the B&T APC-10, the MP5 MLI, the FNP-90, the UMP-40, the Chris Vector, and then finally the SL9, which is apparently going to be a fictional weapon based on the leaked image, which I'm not going to be sharing any leaked images here, just to avoid any potential takedown issues, of course. But based on that leaked image, it does look like this SL9 is going to be similar to the Keltec P50. It's not actually the Keltec P50, but this is like the closest real-life placeholder that I can provide for you guys based on the leaked images that I've seen. So just like with the carbines, we've got 8 SMGs on this list. Similarly, we also have 8 LMGs that have leaked. And for the 2 that we had access to in the beta, we have the L1110, as well as the KTS-100 Mark 8, based on the Ultimax 100. In addition to those, we've got the M240L, the M27 IAR, the M60 E6, the MG4, the RPK-M, and then finally the XM250. Next up, for the DMR category, we only had access to 2 in the beta, and so far there's only been 4 DMRs total leaked. But the beta ones were the M39 EMR, as well as the SVK 8.6 based on the SVCH. In addition to that, from these data mines, we have the SVD-M, and then finally, there is a fictional DMR coming called the LMR 27. And unlike with that SL9 SMG, which I could find kind of a similar real-life counterpart, I really couldn't in this case. But just know, there is this 4th marksman rifle that has been leaked, and it appears to be completely fictional. Now after that, let's get into the sniper rifle category, and we unfortunately only had access to 1 sniper rifle in the beta. That was the M2010 ESR. In addition to that, we have 3 other sniper rifles that have leaked for the game. We've got the Barrett MRAD, the SV98M, and the Q Minifix, which I really like the looks of that one. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hands on more sniper rifles. It was quite unfortunate that we only had access to 1 in the beta. Similarly, we only had access to 1 shotgun in the beta. That was the M87A1, based on the Mossberg 590A1. In addition to that, we're expecting to see the 18.5 KSK, the KSG-12, the M1014, and then finally the DP-12. So decent selection of shotguns there, nothing too crazy overboard, but solid selection. And this just leaves us with the secondary category, where once again, we only had access to 1 throughout the beta, which I thought was a bit of a weird decision. It would have been nice to have at least a little bit of choice there, but it is just a beta build of the game, of course. I don't expect everything to be there. In either case, in the beta, we did have access to the P18 based on the M18 or SIG P320. Insert joke here about it malfunctioning. In addition to that, we're expecting to see the Glock 22, the Smith & Wesson M327 TRR8, the Taurus Raging Hunter, the M45A1, and then finally the 5.7 Mark III. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for the list of 52 leaked weapons based on data mines from the Battlefield Labs client. As I said, we're expecting 40 plus at launch, and as a result, at least a good handful of these are likely going to be added post-launch. Otherwise, they would say 50 plus. If there were going to be 50 plus, they'd say 50 plus, not 40 plus. Even if there were 45 or more, they probably would have said 45 plus weapons at launch rather than 40. But overall, I think this is a solid selection of weapons at launch. I fully expect they're going to be going the route of a steady stream of content as time goes on with this. It really seems like they're going all in with Battlefield 6. If I'm not mistaken, I think it has been officially confirmed that battle passes will be coming to Battlefield 6. So it's likely we're going to have seasons, and in those seasons, there's going to be new guns every single season. So 40 plus weapons as a starting point at launch seems solid to me. And I wanted to look back at older Battlefield games, and I managed to find this image here. I'm assuming this is correct. Somebody can let me know if this was totally off, but I will leave the source down there as well. Just looking back at older Battlefield games and how many weapons launched with each of them, and when factoring in the primaries and secondary weapons here, 40 plus seems like a solid number for Battlefield franchise history. Obviously, not keeping up with Battlefield 4, but nothing really does. That's a ridiculous amount of guns at launch, 64 primary weapons and 13 secondaries, and 6 pickups as well. That is just an insane number to be launching with. Whereas 40 plus seems to be fairly standard. It's worth noting Battlefield 2042 isn't on this list. Looking back, it appears there was only 22 guns at launch for that game, which was a really weak starting point. And I definitely remember when I first got into Battlefield 2042, there was a pretty long list of disappointments, and the weapon count at launch was definitely a part of that. I was very underwhelmed when I saw the total amount of weapons once I booted up the game for the first time. So I'm glad to see we're not running into that situation again with Battlefield 6. Also, it is worth noting, more recently, we did get a leak for an apparent railgun, as well as a minigun that were found in the files for Battlefield 6. However, in both of these cases, the leaker is assuming that this is for the Battle Royale mode, and therefore it may or may not actually show up in the regular multiplayer. And even if it did, there's a good chance they'd probably be like gadgets rather than primary or secondary weapons. But time will have to tell on those, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about this leaked Battlefield 6 weapon list so far? Not only when it comes to the total quantity of weapons, do you guys think 40 plus at launch is going to be a solid number to start with? Or were you maybe hoping to see more? But also, how are you feeling about the individual weapons? Are there any weapons in particular here that you're really excited to see in the game and looking forward to trying out? Are there any that you were really hoping to see on this list that didn't make it into the game, at least not yet? For me, some of the highlights are going to be the bigger variety of SMGs for sure. I definitely tend to lean more in the direction of SMGs, so only 2 in the beta was a little disappointing to me, especially because I really didn't vibe well with the MP7 throughout the beta. So it basically felt like one really solid SMG for me in the beta. And then also for some of the pistols as well, especially that FN57. I really do like the 5.7 in general, and I'm really hoping it performs well in Battlefield 6. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.